Welcome to One More Thing. I'm Pastor Brett, and I'm here with Pastor Troy to talk about his talk with Pastor Larry.
That's right.
Good dialogue, man.
Yeah, it was good.
So I was just really pleased in the group that I teach afterwards. They loved it.
Good.
Because we often talk in that group about spiritual disciplines. So it's cool to hear you guys talking about that from the stage. And you talked about your spiritual disciplines, and Pastor Larry talked about his. And I thought you did a good job of convincing people that you're actually disciplined.
Yeah.
No, but really, I thought it was good the way that you brought up examples that are perfectly relatable and demystifies what it means to meditate and to experience some solitude, going out to the beach.
Yeah.
It's whatever works for you, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's that the idea is rest, right? We don't live in a culture that we live in a culture that sort of worships the grind, worships the hustle.
For sure.
You have this whole movement on TikTok and Instagram of we call it the hustle bros, all these guys just telling you to grind it out and, put in 80 hours a week. And I'm like, no, that's not what I was created for. And that's not what I was created by. There is a part of my worship is rest, dude. And part of my worship to God is to give that rest. And that's how I see it. Rest is part of the rhythm of God. And burnout is a real thing. And yeah, you got these hustle bros that can go, and I mean, they have a lot of influence. But at the end of the day, one has to take stock and measure of, is that really who I am? I mean, is that really what it takes? Because I don't really want to worship that kind of lifestyle. I enjoy my rest because it's purposeful, it's intentional, and it's meaningful to my life to rest. Not just because I'm lazy or anything like that, but because it is a recalibration of my soul. And if you lose that element of rest, you're losing, like, literally a part of yourself, your truest self, as someone like Rohr would say. So,
yeah. What do you think is the biggest deterrent? So a lot of people, like I said, we talk about this in the group, but a lot of people, they avoid these disciplines. And what do you think is the main deterrent for people, not employing meditation? And
I don't think I think there's sort of, it's a good question. I think there's maybe some misunderstanding around it. Maybe some taboo about it. And for me, it's just become a part of, again, we are that which we repetitively do. And that's Aristotelian, If you want to be courageous, do courageous things. If you want to be this, do those things. If you want to be intelligent, do intelligent things. If you want to be more contemplative and reflective, then you have to practice those things. That's what I said in the sermon. I said, you have to practice your presence, right? And the way you do that is by making time for it and asking people who have knowledge about it, what do I do? This feels awkward. The only reason it feels awkward is because you're not used to it.
Yes.
Right? If you've never played golf before, never swung a golf club, the first time you do it is going to be absolutely awkward, right? But that's true about anything. And so but then I love what Joseph Campbell says about it. When you have that place, not just this mystical place, or when you just have that space, the more times you adventure into that space that you've made, and it's just time, right, to contemplate, to reflect, to meditate, it takes on deeper and deeper and deeper meanings. And it's almost as though you form your own type of mythology, right? Like God becomes something wholly new to you in those moments. And it's as though God is speaking to you, even though it's like your consciousness, right? That's kind of reminding you. But it becomes the way Campbell says it is, the more you do it, as awkward as it is in the beginning, the more awesome it becomes as you get used to it. And dude, that's transformative in its own right, because now, I don't know, I find myself less irritable in traffic. Like I made a joke yesterday about the people not putting carts back in the corral.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that one section perturbed me because there was like 8 carts up on it. And I was like, look at this, dude. But was I really irritated? No. You know, I was just kind of like, this is crazy. And I just made note of it. But you find yourself becoming more peaceful, more understanding, more open-minded, less rigid. And it's not, oh, I love God so much more now that I've been meditating. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't have some sort of valuation of how much I love God or whatever. I just know I do. And I think it equates to, how do I treat my children? How do I respond to disagreements or arguments with my wife? How do I deal?
Well, then you do love God more, because
Yeah.
God would say, Jesus said, whatever you do for the least of these, you do it for me.
Yeah.
Whatever you don't do for me. Yeah, so I think it does correlate that way. And I think most people that have made it a practice, a regular practice, would say that. Would say that their view of God has expanded, their understanding of themselves. You know, and maybe that's the biggest deterrent. It's having to face. Actually, Larry brought up something about fasting.
Yeah.
And he
yeah.
fasted for 7 days, and he'd come in the office, and people are like, "Ooh, watch out!"
He's
you know?
fast.
But that's one of the things that that Richard Foster points out in Celebration of Discipline, that fasting reveals, it puts your flesh out front. It shows you the weakness of your animal self, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And we don't like to look at that.
No.
Right?
No.
So you're going to see, or Jung would say, you're going to encounter your shadow.
That's right.
You know, and you're going to be forced to integrate that shadow properly once you're conscious of it. And so I think people avoid those times of silence
Yeah.
for that reason,
Yeah.
probably more than anything else.
And I think that's the Jungian point of view. I think is dead on, because even in whatever, I'm kind of moving away from the word like deconstruction. I don't think we're deconstructing any sort of doctrinal thing or creedal thing. We're deconstructing ourselves, because we created these things, right? Not you and I, but. And
you can tell by the kind of visceral reactions that people
absolutely,
have when you take on their belief systems.
Because they've grafted themselves into that identity. It's not doctrine, it's identity at this point.
That's right.
And when we you have to have that out in front of you. And I think what we're doing here is we're showing through reflection, this is, why do you have to hold on to this idea, this construction, this conception of God? What is it about you that wants to hold on to that? And when you talk to things like about hell or whatever, it's people like, well, I need justice. I need to know that bad people are going to pay.
Yeah.
Great. Now let's talk about that. Now we've opened up that piece of identification that you feel you need. And I just think, man, when you reflect, and I don't always, like, I think reflection on the past has its benefits, but it has to be very limited, because there's a lot of things we may regret. I think the past doesn't exist. I can't go back there anymore. I can only encounter what exists in reality, that which corresponds to that which I'm experiencing. So I can think about the past and maybe learn from it. And even in the future, like, I don't want to think too much about that in a certain aspect either. I want to embrace the Dasein, right? The moment of now, and use the visceral sensory experience of what I'm having and going, okay, God, here I am in this moment. Mm-hmm. You bring to my reflection, or what I may be in projection to the future, and help me arrange this in a way that I become more like you, right? Because maybe I was not quite as much like Christ as I should have been, and I want to be more like Christ, so moving forward. But again, I don't want to call it a dangerous thing, but it's something you should do in community when you're reflecting on the past, you know, and thinking about things, maybe mistakes or regrets you have, so that people can remind you, you're a good dad.
Mm-hmm.
You're a good person. Because that helps, dude. That helps with our becoming, right? And finding our worth. And I think maybe that's why we get so busy, is because it takes our mind off of the past.
Exactly.
And it takes our mind off the future. And while we're in the moment, our moment is so convoluted with information and exercising, doing, rather than relaxing, resting, and being.
Yeah.
And again, start with 10 minutes. I don't know. This is your area of expertise. Start with 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Even 5 minutes.
And what would you do? You just sit, and no AirPods. Just sit and think, and just go, God, speak to me, show me something, and watch what happens, man. Go for a walk. Like, I love going to the bay down in downtown Sarasota and just walking around that beautiful area, man. They've done a real nice job. And there's nothing that doesn't hold some sense of wonder for me. Whether it's architecture, whether it's palm trees or the bay or the sunset. I mean, I think that's one of the things why we don't rest, is because we don't wonder anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Tom Waits, I don't know if you know Tom Waits. He's an old musician, whatever. He said, man, we've lost this sense of wonder. He said, I ask people questions, and the first thing they do is they Google it. He's like, he says, he goes, man, no, I want to think about it. I don't want the answer. I want to think about it. And I was like, that's freaking brilliant, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, stop being so rushed for answers and sit back and allow the wonder to ruminate, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the thing is, Google can't answer the really important stuff. What am I doing to be? You know, how am I being?
Yeah.
They can't answer stuff like that, but taking time in solitude, meditation, prayer, whatever you want to call it, does accomplish that.
That's right.
And it's only scary so long as it's not there.
That's right.
Okay? Because once you do enter silence, you realize, yeah, you know what, I do have to face this. But what comes with that? A sense of accomplishment, man.
Yeah.
You actually end up being more of the Christ-like version of yourself, just by virtue of the fact that you're now aware of the things that were controlling your life, but before you just called it fate.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
That's young.
Amor fati, yeah, man, yeah.
So I just encourage people to just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Take 5 minutes even.
Yeah, I mean,
and then add on to that as you can.
If there's anything I'm proud of, is I've influenced quite a number of people who've come up to me at church and they'll say, man, we go to the beach now once a month. He goes, it had been 5 years, 6 years since we ever been. I was like, that's crazy to me. Like, that's crazy to me. Oh, I'm not a beach person. No, I don't know any people who are not beach people.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I guess you don't know me as well as I thought you did. But all your going on about the beach has never made me want to go there anymore. So you haven't convinced me.
You got to come with me, man. You come with me. You'll
that
love
would be
it.
fun.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, and sometimes resting with others is a good thing, man.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's why, I love to cook. You don't really rest when you cook, but once it's done, we get to sit, share a meal, talk about things, and enjoy life together, man. So I just say, start somewhere, start contemplating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, thanks for all this.
Appreciate you, man.
Good stuff.